everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my co-anchor, sister, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Excited to be here. It's the
Sure.
Psychic Hour. We love this show.
We do. The Psychic Hour is it's a chance for us to, flex our other muscles besides being little
Right?
reporters and gossipers and know-it-alls.
Right. Oh, is that what we are?
Among other things. Don't ask my kids, but
yeah, okay. Don't ask mine either.
yeah, no. But no, it's this is fun for us. So hope that you guys are having a very good Thursday. Christy, how are you?
I am awesome. I am awesome, and I have a big announcement, but I want to wait until more of you are here. But I've been working on a huge project this week and something that I want to share with all of you, but we'll wait a few minutes because everybody's piling in. I don't want you to miss it.
No.
But I have been working so hard that I've given myself eye strain.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not surprised. You've done that before.
I have done it before. Sometimes I get really intense and like, okay, I'm going to do this huge job and I'm going to do it all in 2 days. And that means staring at a computer for like 10 hours a day. And today I'm like, I had to lay on the couch for quite a while and give my eyes a rest. Like I couldn't even look at my phone. Like I get this like problem with blue light.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a blue light filter in my glasses, but it's not enough when you put the amount of hours in I have in the last couple of days. But that's okay because it's a really fun, exciting new thing I'm doing. So I'll tell you soon.
I tend to do that too, but for me, it's more over like if I'm excited about it and feeling it now, I better get it done or I might not finish it.
I know, me too. I'm like, oh man, I've got the energy for this now. I better get in there,
Yeah, for sure. Well, what did you make for dinner?
Nothing,
because she's been laying on the damn couch. Yeah.
No, I've been working, man. We're having butter chicken with cauliflower rice, but we're having it after the show.
Nice.
Rhonda is sick, and so that's what she requested. So I had to go to the store because I didn't have any butter chicken sauce. I hope you guys like Indian food, or some of you. Do you like Indian food? I love Indian food.
God. If someone in my house requests Indian food, I can't get to the store to, order the cupboard quick enough.
Yeah.
Well, not whenever, but a lot of times when we go to Boise, we'll go to one of the Indian food stores there, and I'll buy,
because we don't have one.
No, I'll buy 8 or 10 jars of whatever, usually butter chicken and chicken masala and
chicken tikka masala sauce,
and things like that. Yeah, and just have it in the cupboard because Mars and I, that's a quick go-to too. You buy the chicken tenders at Costco in the enormous bags. Those are so quick and easy to thaw out and brown up and add the sauce. And while the sauce is cooking, you throw the cauliflower in the microwave, and in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you can have like a really nice meal. I know.
Oh, I'll do you one better. Have you ever seen the pre-cooked rotisserie chicken strips at Costco?
No.
That's what I buy for this kind of stuff. I don't even have.
Brilliant.
All I do is just throw all of it together in a big skillet and let it cook together for about 15, 20 minutes, and boom,
and butter chicken. Beat up the chicken, and you're good to go. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's so good.
Well, now I'm a little sad that I did my big Costco shop yesterday. God damn it.
You missed out. I've been trying to do some simpler things because I've been really busy the last while, learning a lot of new things and working on stuff. And so I've needed like less cooking time. Rhonda cooks, sometimes too, but she works in the evenings quite a bit. So I do a lot of the cooking, and I just haven't had a lot of time. So I've been cutting down on labor and time by doing things like buying that pre-cooked chicken. And frankly, it's good.
That's super smart. Yeah, for sure.
But we would be remiss if we didn't immediately say happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
So what are you, 29?
29, 44, something like that.
Somewhere in there. Somewhere between 29 and 44.
Yeah. But, a little more towards the top end of 44, but.
Well, that's all right. I don't mind being in my 40s, man. 40s are kind of awesome.
I asked Scott today, how do I look? Do I look 44? And he goes, yes. I said, no, that's
That's
the
not what you're
wrong answer. So he says, you don't look a day over 43. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir.
Well, that little shit, he'll be 44 in just a few months, and then we'll
I
see.
was going to say, yeah, he's not far behind.
He's knocking on the door. So,
Yeah.
well,
Have
thank
you
you.
noticed the further you get into your 40s, the less you give a damn
Hmm.
about a lot of stuff?
So very
Telling you,
much. Yeah.
40s are a good time.
Yeah,
I'm happy about it.
absolutely. Well, and there's so much more occurs to you, you know? Like
Right?
you suddenly go, I don't have to be talked to like that, you know?
Yeah.
Or
I'm
I
not
don't
putting
have
up with
to,
this bullshit.
right, you know, and like you don't have to be a big sass about it, but you can stand up for yourself, you know? Or
Yeah.
a bigger for me, I don't have to be intimidated by making that phone call or talking to that person. Like now I'm just a lot more confident about, of course I have the right to make that phone call or ask that question or, you know,
Right?
like where I used to probably be more like, I am so sorry for bothering you, but, you know, and now I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know? I'm afraid this is where, you know, the Karens are born, but, you know, you know, if your name's Karen and you hate that term, I'm very sorry. But, you know, it's
Well,
not the intent behind, you know, getting more confident, but there really is that place where, yeah, you can, you feel like you have the right to speak up, you know?
right. Yeah. Well, and chances are pretty good in customer service that you're older than the customer service person you're speaking to.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's funny for me when I realize you're like 15 years younger than me. Like, why are you talking to
Yeah.
me like that, you little weasel? Yeah.
We were at a wedding last weekend for my kids' best friends got married, and I said something about, well, when we get up there and, you know, to the kids, and my kids were like, they're not kids, they're adults, they're getting married. And I'm like, they are 21 and they are kids.
Right. Come
I'm
on.
like, my
Still
God, I'm old.
definitely kids. Yeah.
Hmm.
I know. I catch myself. Well, I refer to all our kids as kids, and
Hmm.
um, more than half of them are now adults.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
And always, but oh hell, when our parents died, we were in our mid 30s, and our
yeah,
whole family still referred to us as, "What are you kids gonna do?
yeah,
Still live in our own houses with our own kids and pay our
yeah,
bills and go to our jobs? Like we'll do what we've always done." But
yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, okay. We're not actually kids, but okay, yeah, yeah. But I get that feeling now when I refer to someone as, well, my son is 25, and I call him a kid all the time, and he's like, I'm 25, and I'm like, yeah, you're a
I
kid.
know, kid. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
totally, absolutely. Well, I've had a great day. I had my show this morning with my friend Kelly. We did an entire Golden Girls reenactment. We did an entire episode.
It
It was
was
so
really
fun.
funny.
Hmm. She's awesome. I knew she'd do well because she does voices really well. I don't, but she does. So I made her be both Sophia and Blanche, and her Southern drawl was perfect.
Oh, it
Well,
was,
I
man.
do declare, you
Her
know, she
Blanche
was
was
so good.
really good.
I knew she'd be right on. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's a pretty dang good Sophia too. So
she
I was
was.
Rose and Dorothy.
She was great with them. Your Dorothy particularly was very good.
I love Dorothy. I don't know what to say. Yes, I do.
I
Uh,
love her. She's
43
my
or
favorite. B.
44,
Arthur. Oh my goodness.
right?
Hmm.
We did the
Aaron.
episode. Oh, go ahead.
Aaron says mentally, I'll always be a kid.
Oh,
See,
me
me
too.
too. Every once in a while, I'm like looking around for an adult, going, "Shit, that's me."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't ever become so clear as when our parents died, and suddenly
Oh my
we were the
gosh.
adults in the room, and
Yeah.
we were so puzzled.
Yeah.
Like,
That was.
how can this possibly be the case?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
without a doubt. But yes, I had my show. Scott bought me, oh, I got the coolest thing for my birthday. It's called a sublimation printer. So it's a printer, just like a regular, you know, inkjet printer, kind of, but it takes special ink. And that ink prints onto special paper. and then you use a heat press, which is a thing that you use like in crafting and stuff, a big machine that presses like on a big plate, and you pull down
Yeah,
the
like a
top and
giant iron.
yeah, kind of like a giant clamshell. Yeah. And and it gets really hot. Like you press like way hotter than your iron.
Yeah.
And so you can, with the sublimation printer, you can print really anything like pictures, bright colors, whatever you want. And then you press it onto anything that's been coated with a polymer because that's what it adheres to. The ink basically it melts into the polymer, and you can make all kinds of cool stuff. So I love my vinyl cutter, but there's a lot you can't do. You really can't do multicolor anything. So
Right.
with sublimation, you can do whatever you want. So
Mm.
we are, yeah. So I'm so excited about it. So
I
I
can't wait for my first shirt. That's all I'm saying.
right. Well, it's taken me
It,
all freaking day to get it set up. I know, taken me all day to set it up, but it's finally set up and ready. And I ran to the store. Mars took me out for a late lunch this afternoon for my birthday, and we ran to the store and bought some shirts and got home, and they don't fit. So after the show, I've got to go back to the store because we have a softball tournament this weekend, and I'm cutting I sublimated 2 softball mom T-shirts because that's the kind of big dork I am, and it's going to be great.
that's so
So
cool.
I'm really excited. I mean, you can do anything that's appropriate to press onto, which is really anything as long as you can get it coated with a polymer or coat it with yourself with a polymer,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically like uh, well, anyway, that's getting really technical. But anyway, I'm just really excited, and that's where it's at. Yeah,
That's really cool. Well, I love
it's
it.
wonderful. Yes.
That is
So,
wonderful.
well, thanks, you guys. So we've got lots of chatters. I'm so happy to see you guys all here, and thank you for all of the birthday wishes. You guys are the best. I've truly been spoiled as hell today. So,
Well, good. That's how it ought to be.
but it's not only my birthday.
Right.
You'd think that would be enough, but nay, nay. It is also International Fairy Day,
See, I think that's perfect for you. That just makes
right?
total sense to me that that day is on your birthday.
Yeah. You know how I resonate with winged things. Oh my God, you guys,
Hmm.
I had the most ridiculous
As long
meltdown
as
this
they're
week.
not dead.
I had the most ridiculous meltdown you have ever seen this week. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you.
You did? What
So,
happened?
oh my gosh, this was awful. So, before we left for Boise, Scott caught our neighbor shooting BB guns at my crows.
Oh no.
And you guys know I have been working for months building a relationship with these crows, and they have their baby, and they're all now coming to eat. And they live in the poplars in my backyard. They're actually my neighbor's poplars that lean over into my yard. That's where their nest is. Well, back in
Oh.
our pasture. Well, in our front pine trees, we have doves living in those trees, and in the other tree, this is quite the hookup. We have doves on one side, and then we have magpies on the other,
Oh wow.
which is problematic because sometimes the magpies kill the dove babies, which is
Yeah.
really,
They would.
upsetting. But anyway, today the doves and the magpies were eating out of my feeder at the same time. So I thought, well, maybe
Neat.
I told Scott, maybe if we feed them all, they won't kill each other's babies because they'll just be eating what we give them.
Right, there
And
you go. Just
he
keep
said,
their
you're
bellies
insane,
full.
but okay. Okay. So anyway, but I did have a piggy sitter here all weekend, taking care of the pigs and the other dogs, and she was feeding the crows. And usually I give them a big cup of food, and every day after I go out there, the food is gone. And so he told me, he said he's only shooting with a BB gun. We live right against the highway. Like it would be very illegal to be out there shooting anything
Oh
beyond a
yeah.
BB gun. And also, I'm not so sure what his criminal history is, but I kind of doubt that he's supposed to have a gun, are my thoughts. So not a huge judgment. Maybe it is, but so Scott's like, they're so far up. He goes, and they're big birds. He's like, I'm really not worried that he's going to do any damage with a BB gun, but it's kind of uncool, and I was like, well, God. So I was like, did you say something to him? Did you tell him that those are micros? And he goes, no. He said he was a long ways from me, and he goes, but I'm honestly not sure really what to say. And I said, will you say knock it the hell off, right?
Yeah.
Or how
This is
about,
not
did
hard.
you know it's illegal to shoot crows? They're protected under the Migratory Bird Act because they are. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Neighbor was shooting at my crows. So we were gone all weekend. We came home. I went out there Monday morning to feed them, and they had a whole bowl of food. Like they hadn't been eating it over the weekend.
Oh no.
And I was so upset. Partly, I didn't have the piggy sitter. I have a crow call that I go out there and I call, and I do 4 calls. I go caca, 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 caca 4 times on it, and I hear them yelling, and they swoop in, and they know it's time to eat, and that's what we do. Okay, so simple Simon. Well, Scott is very embarrassed by my behavior, so I said, "Do I need to teach the piggy sitter how to use the call?" And he said no. I said no.
Probably would have done it. I mean,
She
really?
would have. She's actually the coolest girl on the planet. She would have done it. But so I didn't, and I shouldn't have listened to him because they didn't eat their food while we were gone. Not all of it anyway. There was a lot there. So I came in the house and I called them like normal. And I came in the house and they didn't come. And normally, as soon as I call them, they're already in the pines. They're yelling at me. As you know, I overslept on Wednesday's show, and they woke me up yelling at me to get my ass out of bed and feed them. They didn't come, and I was just heartbroken. So I was telling Mars, I think the neighbor killed the crows, and I went and told Scott, and then I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And suddenly, Mars is like, "There's 3 crows out there eating." I'm looking out there, drying my tears and going, "Oh my God, what the actual hell is going on here?" Anyway, no, the crows are here. They're fine. Everything's fine. Everyone is fine. I am just a mess. But anyway, this is my relationship to winged things,
Right.
Yeah. So yes,
That's
the crows are back. Rest assured. I know you guys were all ready to come and help me beat my neighbor up. No, the crows are fine.
Innocuous was going to go on a broom, man.
Yeah.
Hey, me too. By the way, I don't know if you saw, but Bianca did give you a sticker. The super chat is on. If you want to purchase a sticker, you're welcome to. That always supports us. But Bianca says, buy yourself some cherry limeades on me. So that's nice.
Thank you very much. You know how it be. I love cherry limeades from Sonic all summer. Well, who am I kidding? All winter too. But
okay. But in the summer particularly, they're really nice when it's hot.
Yeah. So the crows are back. And if I see the neighbor doing anything of the sort, I will definitely talk to him about it.
Oh, there's going to be a Marianne moment. That was our mom's name.
These neighbors have been amazing. Mm-hmm. The people that lived there before them were, not amazing at all.
Do you see what Red Girl just said in the chat?
They tried so hard to convert us to their church, and they were awful. They were awful neighbors in a lot of ways. And then the old man died, and the old lady and her son moved away, and they sold the house to these people, and they don't bother us a bit. They smoke weed about midnight, and it fills up our bedroom, but I can live with that. That's not a problem.
Boxing every night.
Yeah, it's no problem. I can live with that. What I can't live with is, well, all of the religious stuff. Oh, good Lord. Anyway, so I don't want to have a fight with them. I really, really don't. Plus, they have a noisy dog. We have noisy dogs. We really tolerate each other. But I am going to have to, if I see anything, I'm going to have a conversation with him about what the hell are you even doing.
Right.
Yeah. How would the neighbor feel about a bunch of angry women dressed like crows in your yard?
I really want to see that, Red Girl. Really, really want to see
She's a LARPer, and she has a friend that wears a whole crow head. Well, that's amazing. Yeah.
You know what's up. Katie's going to be getting one of those crow heads.
Are you going to shoot all of us?
There you go. That's exactly how you get the neighbor to stop.
Tell them to smoke more weed and leave my crows alone, right? It's not that hard.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, everything's okay. Everything's okay, but Jesus Christ. Mars was like, Mom, she goes, you absolutely broke my heart. And I said, yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, but this is really important to me.
Sad. So when you talk about, go ahead.
It looks like pretty much everybody's here. So can I share my announcement real quick?
Oh, yes, please do. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you guys, I started a new podcast and I want to invite you all to it. It's called The Eclectic Healer. And I'm going to share, it's on Anchor, and I'm going to share my Anchor page. It's also on YouTube, but there's a link to YouTube on my Anchor page. So Anchor will take you to Spotify or wherever else you like to listen. But this is a show that I have really, in my heart, I'm a healer. I've been a healer my whole life. And I'm a master healer as far as energy healing is concerned, and I'm a social worker. And I just want a podcast about that. And so I started a new one, and it is called The Eclectic Healer because I am definitely an eclectic healer.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different modalities, but I'm a social worker. I have an associate's degree in music. I'm a master Christologist. So I use all different kinds of modalities. So I want to invite all of you to come and check it out. I'm just posting the link in the chat, but I'm over on Anchor. You can find me as Christy Brower or as the Eclectic Healer over on Anchor and anchor.com, which is just kind of part of Spotify. That's where it's hosted. And you can also find my YouTube channel there if you'd rather watch it on YouTube. But come join me if that's what I know you're all into this kind of stuff because you're here on this show. So I would love to have you join me. I'm doing just recorded shows for right now, but once I get a few more people going, a little more participation, then I'm going to do a live stream every week. And we're just going to talk about all things healing, and I'm going to teach you a lot of stuff, and we can share our healing journeys together. So
Awesome.
come and
I
join me.
love
I'm
it.
so excited about it.
Absolutely. So good. Well, congrats. Very
Thank
good. I
you.
can't wait to
So
go
that's
check
the
it
thing
out.
I've worked on so hard that I've given myself eye strain this week.
Wow.
Just saying.
Yep.
When I get an idea, it's happening.
You're going to have to take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just kidding. You live with dogs and cats. There'll be no napping.
Yeah, no, well, not really.
Yeah. Oh, JR says Katie's cool AF. She'd rather have people smoking weed rather than hearing them preaching at her all day long. Yeah.
Right?
This neighbor was kind of try to trick you into going to the Mormon stuff, and I'm a former Mormon. I don't think she understood that because when she moved in, she immediately brought a bunch of like LDS paraphernalia over, and I said that we weren't members because that's true, but I didn't tell her that we were former members because well, I didn't feel like I needed to. It's really not her business. So she would call me and say things like, so some of the neighbor ladies are getting together to make Christmas cookies and candy over at the neighbor's house, because she would try to say the Relief Society president, then realize that wasn't the term she wanted to use. And I'd say, Linda, this feels a lot like church. Oh no, not really. I mean, kind of. Well, it's not really religious. It's just the neighborhood ladies getting together. Oh, honey, no, thank you. Well, are you sure? I mean, that was the kind of stuff. And then coming over and bringing me the church magazines every month.
Yikes.
Wanda didn't read, and bearing her testimony and crying on my couch. And oh, gosh.
Oh, guys.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Big yikes.
Yeah. By the way, innocuous, yes, my podcast is in addition to Spirit School.
Yes. Yeah. And we still have 2 bits of Spirit School left this month.
Yes, we do.
So we have Christy's class on the solar plexus, right? On Sunday.
Yes. Going to talk about how to boost your self-confidence.
Yeah. Tell the neighbors if they shoot at your crows, you'll tell the bishop they smoke dope. I wish that would work. I definitely do not have a bishop.
These ones are not Mormon. That's so funny.
It's a good idea, though, Chris. A really good idea. So, yes, and then Spirit School on Tuesday, I am going to teach you a new spread to use your oracle cards with.
Oh, fun.
Lots of good stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Well, should we get all airy-fairy?
Let's do literally fairy.
Literally fairies. So you probably know if you're in the new agey world at all, that a lot of people believe in fairies. A lot of people see fairies. A lot of people have beliefs in lots of elemental beings. And I can definitely say that I'm one of them. I've seen
Hmm.
lots of stuff. Christy has as well.
Yep. Sure
And
have.
there's been lots of attempts to define what these beings might be. I think that when we define them, and we are going to do that in a sense, but when we do that, understand that this is just one person's experience and it's maybe one culture's experience, because
Yeah.
we've changed a lot throughout all of the millennia here on planet Earth. And so,
Yeah, we have.
what they did experience once upon a time, we likely don't experience now, and so forth. But Christy, when you hear the word fairies, what does that really conjure up for you?
Well, for me, when I see them, I think of them. I kind of group all the elementals together, fairies and gnomes, and all that kind of stuff. For me, what I see them as is little lights. So I see them as little energies, and to me, they're always pretty mischievous. I will hear about them from clients pretty regularly when they're like, something keeps moving my keys. Like I put my keys in the place where I know they're supposed to be, and then I try to go somewhere, and those freaking keys are gone. They
Hmm.
have a real tendency to be tricksters. They like to tease, um, you know, but they're not malicious. Like it's not mean necessarily, but they do kind of like to screw with us as,
Hmm.
as humans. So if you have something that goes missing, or you're 100% sure you sat it in this place, and then later it's like in another room or something, that's what I feel like often they are doing, um just messing around with us and
Oh
teasing
yeah.
us a little bit. And of course, mostly where I've experienced them is outside, not in
Hmm.
houses, but
Hmm.
in nature, because that's really where they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But sometimes they like to come in to get in trouble, but
Yeah, they're really drawn to kids, really really drawn to
hmm.
children, and so a lot of times they'll hang out in houses where there are small children,
Hmm.
because kids can often see them and interact with them in some way or another.
Uh-huh. And they do occasionally show up on camera. When we sold our store, the lady that bought it put Terry. She put cameras up all over in there.
All right.
And not too long after we sold the store to her, she sent us a file and said, "You guys have to see this." And she had on video from like overnight fairies playing in the store. They
Yeah.
were tiny, they were flitting around, they were darling. And it was so funny because we'd never seen them before, because, well, we had a lot of activity in there though. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, but
We
we
had this
didn't really.
one stapler.
Yes, we did have one enchanted stapler that we know
Mhm.
that that stapler would disappear and then come back, and we ended up buying a second stapler because the enchanted stapler was gone
Mhm.
about half the time. Like it reminds me of that pendulum that you had years ago
Oh yeah.
that would
Yeah,
disappear
yeah.
and then reappear sometimes years later.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, the pendulum was an interesting thing. So anyway, yeah, I'll tell you about it. But with the fairies in the store, they were just hanging out. It was too cool.
Hmm.
But we've had several people send us pictures that their baby cams have caught as well,
Yes. Yeah.
that are really fun. So, and I haven't looked on YouTube, but I'll bet if you look on YouTube, you'll see some that are probably not legit and some that seem like they really could be, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the pendulum. So I had a pendulum. It's the first one I ever had, and it was marble. It was really heavy. It was round, and then it had the golden tip thing on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And I loved that pendulum. I used it a lot, and I kept it in a little satin bag in my purse. And one year when Scott and I put our garden in, I had was way into candle magic at the time, still am forever and ever, but I planted, or sorry, I didn't plant it. I burned a brown candle to bless my crops. Well, the
Yeah.
next morning, that pendulum was gone, like missing from my purse. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to fix this story. Good God. Sorry. My son walked in and he didn't realize I was on my show, and he got all startled, and now I'm all startled. The pendulum had been gone for quite a while. I couldn't find it anywhere. I thought maybe I lost it. I didn't know. I had kids, so who the hell knows, But it
Right.
had been gone for quite a while. So I did the brown candle spell for my crops. And the next morning I woke up and that pendulum was laying on the floor right in the middle of the living room, like with the chain like spread out. It was so weird.
Well, yeah, like it had been laid out.
Yeah, like it had been laid out. And I was like, what the hell? How did this happen? Like it had been gone forever. And the thing is, at the time I had a home daycare. And so I cleaned my house top to bottom every night before we went to bed. So I had vacuumed the living room before I went to bed and woke up and there was that pendulum. And so this was really early in my journey. And so I did some reading and discovered that brown candle magic is also a nod to the fairy realm or to the fae or to the elementals. And I went, is it possible that that pendulum was taken? I put it in my purse and used it for maybe a year. They took it again. I've never seen it again. That was a really wild experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Red Girl's got an interesting one. I'm afraid my big cat killed the fairy.
Oh,
I found remains we couldn't identify.
wow.
Yikes.
That's amazing. I'm sure
It
that happens.
could happen for sure.
I'm sure it does. Which really leads me to a part of this conversation that, because if fairies exist and other elementals like trolls and hobgoblins and, all the ones that history tells us about, why don't we just see them? Where are they?
Hmm.
So it's my belief that we are living in many layers of consciousness.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are beings. We've talked about Bigfoot this way in the same capacity. I just feel like they're on different levels, and maybe they
Yeah.
pass in here every once in a while. Maybe they like coming over to our side of the tracks to play, and then maybe they, hightail it out of here. They're not here all the time. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like, or maybe they're a layer that is so close and thin, that we experience them sometimes and sometimes we don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because, we vibrate at a certain rate. And in these physical bodies, there's a limit to how high we can vibrate, right?
Mhm.
And so, really, the way that I see when we talk about different realms or levels of consciousness, however you want to describe that, it's anything that's up above us vibrationally, we can't perceive it. It's
Yeah.
like the color violet. The color violet vibrates at a higher frequency than our physical eyes can see, right?
Mhm.
We know it exists, we can identify it, but we can't actually physically see it. So, if a color can vibrate higher than we can see, who's to say there aren't tons of other things around us vibrating at a higher frequency than what we can perceive?
Mhm.
And that's my feeling. That's exactly what you're saying there,
Yeah.
is that that's what's happening.
Mhm.
Everything's vibrating a little above us. Their frequency is a little higher. They can drop down. We can drop down to a certain level as well. And that's when
Mhm.
sometimes, we experience dark experiences. They can, because we
Maybe we're
are
the dark
their dark
experience.
experiences. I think we are. I think we are. And that's why they come and go, because they're like, those humans, they are
Yeah.
not my favorite. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and if you have experienced something like this, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
My son and I were talking the other day. His friends did a really stupid thing in high school and attracted, like, kind of unleashed from deep in the earth, literally, uh, like physically with machinery, uh, a terrible dark entity that followed these boys around for months.
Yeah.
And like they were like suicidal. It was bad. It was really bad. And they finally started talking about it with each other and discovering that they were all experiencing the same thing, except for my kid, because luckily he wasn't there that night.
Oh,
Idiot.
thank heavens.
And so he got them all on an Xbox call with me. I'm wearing the
Because
Xbox headsets,
of course he did.
talking to all of these teenagers about the dark entity that's following them around, scaring the shit out of them. And we got it cleared and taken care of. And he said the other day, he goes, none of my friends really believe in psychic stuff at all. until that day. Because now they can't deny it. Well, I think it's a lot
Right.
the same with this kind of stuff because
It is.
if you've had an experience, you just have. And if you haven't, that's okay. What I know for sure is that I don't know, you know?
Hmm.
What I know for sure is that there's a lot in the universe that I don't know. I think there's
Right.
a lot going on around us at any given time
There's
that
so
we
much that we
don't
can
know.
only kind of guess at or
Hmm.
take our small little perception and try to expand it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I have a client who has a dog who just happens to be both an attractor of elementals and also somebody, a being who can really see them. And for whatever reason, they have them in their house like more often than others. He just really draws them in. And then he knows. And he'll wake her up in the middle of the night and he's staring at the edge of the bed, or she'll catch him like, in the living room staring at the corner for a long time. Sometimes
Hmm.
like pouncing around like he's playing with them. Other times he's acted like what someone like poked him or,
Hmm.
touched him and not hurt him, but gave him a little start. And so
Yeah.
she'll call me and say, "Hey, I think maybe we've got somebody hanging out." And more often than not with him, and I've seen this in other people's houses too, they're more like a troll. They're these little guys
Hmm.
that are like 2 or 3 feet tall. They're thick and wide, and they're little shits. Like they're not mean, but they think
No.
they're funny. They're having the time
Yeah.
of their lives, and you have to usher them out the front door and tell them they can't stay here anymore, and they will leave.
They
And
will.
I know what that sounds like. I do. I get it, but I've seen them a lot of times,
Hmm.
and I
I
know
do.
that in the cases of my clients, when they've had something like that in their house, once we send it packing, the issues stop.
Right. They do. I have done it as well. I've sent them back to the realm that they came from,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the hell that actually means, but that's what I always feel prompted to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of send them on their way, and it's like they're going back to that place we can't see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So I thought I'd share a partial list of some of the descriptions of the Fae
Don't forget we
from.
have to take a little break too.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's do that now. Let's take a little break, and when we come back, we will talk about different descriptions of Fae from the Middle Ages, from the Greeks, from the Arabic mythology to like the old world stuff.
Awesome. I love that. All right.
Okay, and we're back. So
Yeah.
I think we were both a little startled.
Well, you guys know we're on a new streaming service this week,
Mhm.
and it's awesome because we can do cool stuff like play that little commercial. But we're still sort of unsure about what's going to happen when and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. So until then, we'll just be shocked and surprised all the time. So let's talk about a few different kinds of fae. So, how about brownies? In English and
Mm,
Scottish folklore, a small industrious fairy who inhabits houses and barns. Rarely seen, he would be heard at night cleaning and doing housework. Cream or bread and milk were often left as gifts. So that sounds a
interesting.
little like a house elf.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, where the hell do I get one of these guys? Because I've got housework they could do all night,
Me too. And I'd leave out cream and bread.
all day long. Yeah,
Yeah.
all night long, as it were. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Aaron says, "What a weird conversation." I love it, of course.
Me
Me too. I love the weird stuff. I could do this all day. We should be doing this
too.
around a campfire. This is where the best conversations happen.
We should, but it's this is why I love podcasting and YouTube because we can have all these weird conversations with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We can all just be weird together.
Yep.
It's
There's
awesome.
nothing better than just weird as hell. Yep. How about dwarves? These are stocky, short, and powerful creatures. They mature at 3 years old and are gray and bearded by the age of 7. It is said that they cannot appear in the light of day or they will turn to stone. However, there are potions and spells that empower
Ah,
them to endure sunlight. I'm not sure which culture dwarves are from. The article doesn't say, but
that's interesting though, because you think about like we call them garden gnomes, but they sound to me like garden dwarves. Like,
Mhm.
with the pointed hat and the big long beard and they're turned to
Uh-huh.
stone. That sounds like a dwarf to me that, dwarves are the ones that I always see that mess with dogs. They
Uh-huh.
like to tease dogs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Ha!
Yeah.
Interesting. That's why I think it's fun to look at all the different cultures and their descriptions because it kind of helps us tap into what we've seen and maybe
Yeah.
we'd have a different name. Now, this is interesting to me because Christy and I have had an experience with this spirit in a little different way, the banshee.
Ooh.
This is a female spirit fairy attached to certain families. It is said that when a member's death approaches, the family will hear the banshee crying.
Hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
So it's interesting because years ago, oh no, those weren't banshees, they were wraiths. Never mind.
Yeah, I
We'll
was gonna
probably get
say,
to wraiths. I'm wrong. We
yeah.
had an experience with a elemental called a wraith. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Dryads. These are the happy, playful wood nymphs that dwell in trees. Some say their favorites are willow
Okay.
trees. Others say they prefer oaks. The druids are believed to have turned to them for inspiration.
Now, I love that because we had a beloved willow tree when we were kids in
Hmm.
our backyard. And that tree was so magical to me. And I used to lay on the ground and just look up at all of the branches. And I'm
Hmm.
telling you what, there were dryads in that tree.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
have any doubt of it.
Oh, that was a magical tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Elves, another name by which trooping fairies are known. They can be divided into the Scottish Seelie and unseelie courts. They were believed by
Oh, yes.
some, right, to cause disease in cattle and humans and to sit upon the chest of a sleeper, giving them bad dreams. The German word for nightmare is Alpdrucken or elf pressure. Isn't that
And I just
interesting?
thought it was my cats that did that. Little shithead. Wow.
Wow. I mean, that makes you think about sleep paralysis. And anyway,
Right?
very interesting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the garden fairies. You'll find these fairies among flowers, dancing and playing, wearing flower gowns with transparent wings. At dawn, they pour blessings upon the world.
Cool.
How about goblins? This is the name used for an uglier species of fairy. They are small and malicious and usually band together as they have lost their abilities to operate independently. They can appear as animals and are usually controlled by a mage for evil doings.
Oh,
Yikes. Hmm.
yikes.
I don't
Interesting.
know. I'm going to say this wrong, but Gwyllion, it's
Hmm.
Gwylin. So
Gwilyn.
someone smarter than me, write that
Sounds like
phonetically in the chat, please.
Gwilyn to me, but I don't know.
Gwylin. They're Scottish fairies. They're mostly seen as hairy men or hideous female spirits who waylay and mislead travelers by night on the mountain roads. Mountain fairies like to sit on rocks on either side of a mountain path and silently watch passerbys.
Wow. I
So,
love
yeah.
how there's all of these different cultures have them and they have different names for them, but really we're just dealing with the same group of entities. It's sort of like goddesses. Every
Mhm.
culture's got them, but they're all the same energies.
Yeah. How about hobgoblins? Hobgoblins are originally a name for a small, grotesque, but friendly brownie type creature. See, that kind of resonates with me as the little critters that we see.
Mhm.
Hobgoblin. Or the Jinni, Jinn, or Djinn.
The gin.
These These are fairies in Arabian mythology, the
Yeah.
offspring of fire. They produce like human beings and are led by a race of kings named Suleiman, one of whom they say built the pyramids. Their chief abode is the mountain Kaf, and they appear to men under the form of serpents, dogs, cats, monsters, or even human beings, and become invisible at will. The evil jinn
Mhm.
are hideously ugly, but the good are exquisitely beautiful. According to legend, they were created from fire 2,000 years before Adam was made of earth.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very.
Yeah. Look at a few more. Well, how about leprechauns? We all know
Ooh.
something
Okay.
about that. In Irish folklore, they appear as tiny old men, solitary in nature, wearing a cocked hat and leather apron. They are said to possess a hidden pot of gold, and if captured, may reveal its hiding place, but they are sly and tricky, and if you glance away, they can disappear in the blink of an eye. The name seems to be derived from the Old Irish Luckerpan, or little body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Then, of course, we have the mer people,
Well,
mermaids.
yeah.
They dwell in water but are human form from the waist up and have the tail of a fish. They are irresistible singers who sometimes lure fishermen to their deaths,
Mm-hmm.
also known as the Murdocha or the Merrows.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah. A peri is a Persian fairy. Evil peris are called thieves.
Mm. Okay.
No. Okay, now this is something I've never heard before.
Okay.
Pixies. I've
Pixies.
heard of pixies. Don't
Right.
we've all eaten a pixie stick for God's sake. Uh,
Or had a
these
pixie haircut.
Yes, but I've never heard of this description. These fairies often take the form of a hedgehog. They are mischievous creatures who enjoy playing practical jokes on humans and other fey folk. They adore music and dancing and also love to steal horses to ride. I've never seen a hedgehog steal a horse. I'm just
I
going to
have
say that.
not either, but we are in the US. So, any of our British listeners, have you ever seen a hedgehog steal a horse? It's okay
I'd
to
like
say
to
it
know.
here. No one's going to think you're crazy.
Right. How about sylphs? Sylphs are spirit fairies of the air. They're transparent and elusive and always seem surrounded by a glow. They defend high mountain peaks where they dwell.
Wow.
And then trolls. These creatures have an aversion to daylight. They're frequently observed performing a curious lopsided dance called henking.
Hmm.
Yeah. The will-o'-the-wisp, a spirit of the bogs whose delight is to mislead belated travelers. Seems like
Hmm.
travelers, you got to be careful who you come across.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. And yumbos. These are fairies of African mythology. They stand about 2 feet high and are white in color. Their favorite haunt is the range of hills called the Paps.
Interesting.
So that's a partial list. I'll put a link in the chat to this whole list because I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
But
is.
this was from the Angel Fire website, though, in case you're wondering. So all props go to them for their
Yeah.
excellent information. But that was fun.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I love how every
Goulian.
culture's got them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Goulian. That's okay. That's thank you, Red Girl. That's how you pronounce the Scottish
Mhm.
troll. Yes.
So is that where you get the term ghoul?
I don't know.
Interesting, maybe.
Christy, I don't know. I'm hoping that will show up for everybody. If it doesn't, will you post it for me?
Sure.
I'm not sure if I can post to the group or not. I think it did not. But it showed up in our private chat. So if you
Oh, okay.
post it
I
for me,
will
that would be
send it
amazing.
along.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Red Girl says epilepsy used to be called elf shot. Interesting.
It's interesting. I didn't know that
Thank
either.
you, Joy. Yeah. Really interesting, isn't it? Here's the thing. Things like Bigfoot or Nessie or fairies and elementals of so many different kinds, they have been experienced from through time immemorial, which
Right.
really gives me pause to go, there's something to it, there is something to
Hmm.
it. And then I know what I've seen myself, which I can't really deny. Very interesting. Are sirens mer people? I think ghoul comes from the star Algol.
Hmm.
Sirens, I believe sirens and mer people are in different cultures the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mer people, I think, are more of a like an English description, and siren is more of a Greek or mythological description.
Well, it's all mythological, but
Well,
yeah, I
more
know what you
more
mean.
like Greek mythology. God damn
Yeah,
it.
I got you. I got you. But yeah, it's difficult to deny that these things are completely not real when cultures clear across seas from one another and continents and things all have similar stories.
Yeah.
Different names, but same idea.
Uh huh. Yeah. It's really interesting. Red Girl says, "Can you tell I'm super into mythology and folklore?" Yes, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yes. Really interesting. So, just taking a quick look. Kat Skills said she loves willow trees. They are very soothing. Yeah, they are.
Mhm.
Lauren said banshees freak me out. So, we had an experience years ago. We went to clear a house that it was bad. They had a lot of problems in this house. Like
Yeah.
the babies were waking up with scratches across their backs, kind of bad,
Yeah.
kind of that kind of stuff. And so they had called Christy and I out to clear the house and see if we could help get rid of whatever it was. And
Yeah.
we got there and like they had salt lines on the floors in front of the bedrooms, and they'd done all this stuff trying to get it, and they brought a priest in and blessed the house. It made things much worse. Like it was just a
Yeah.
disaster.
Unfortunately.
So
Yeah.
so Christy and I, so who lived here? It was a mom and her two of her adult daughters with their children and her fiance, not the father of the girls, but she'd been
Yeah.
with him for probably 10 years.
Yeah. A long time.
Yeah, nice guy, nice people, and we totally cleared the house. We did all of our work, so we smudged it and we did the psychic work. And then usually we have the whole family, or whoever's there, join us in a healing circle to bless the house together with what we want this house to feel like. So we joined in that, and Christy and I both start experiencing this shrieking, like ear splitting, shake you to the core, what in the actual hell kind of shrieking.
Yeah.
And
It
it
was
was
terrifying. I've never heard anything like it in my whole life.
no, and it was obvious that there was something here that, anyway, we were told that it was a wraith. And we did get rid of her. We sent her back to whence she came. But when we were done with that clearing, it was really interesting because one of the daughters said, "What was all of that shrieking?" And we went, "Oh,
And we
you
hadn't
heard
said
it."
anything.
We hadn't said a word.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we start talking to them, and here's what we learn. His mother, he's from Texas, and his mother was way into hiring like witch doctors and stuff like that to, get what she wanted. Um,
Hmm.
he called it Santeria. The more I learn about Santeria, the more I realize it wasn't true Santeria. This was probably more of a spin-off of that was maybe Santeria based, but this was very pretty nefarious stuff.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but this is the kind of person that you would go to and give a certain amount of money to and say, "I want my son to come home." So he hadn't been home for a visit in a really long time. And because every time he went home, she would try to keep him there and didn't want him to leave.
Yeah. Didn't want him to marry
And
this woman. Yeah. It was really ugly.
yeah, it was a bad deal. And so what we finally learned through that experience is that her efforts, her witch doctor, whatever this guy was doing, he had sicked this wraith on this family. She was more like a prisoner.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be here, but for whatever reason, she was captured and was here. And so we sent her back. And everything at their house settled down for, oh gosh, like 3 years. And then one day she called us and she said, "Girls, she's back. We need you to come." We went out there and a lot of the same stuff was going on. They had animals that were being bothered. They had a lot of the same stuff happening
Yeah.
and they were hanging on an edge, the edge of breaking up. Like things were way bad. So we went to work again and guess what? There was a wraith back, not the same one, but another one.
Yeah.
And we sent her back. But that was a really interesting experience to discover that people might actually have a gift or an ability to tap into other realms and use them badly. But, leave it to humans to pull shit like that. But
Right.
that was a really interesting experience. Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
Fareed. Yeah, we're not doing readings tonight. We're talking about some psychic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking
Sorry.
about fairies because it's International Fairy Day.
Yeah. We will be back next week doing readings in this chat though, if you want to come back.
For sure.
Yeah. It's not today. Thank you though. We really appreciate having you here. Anyway, that was a pretty interesting experience for for us. It was an eye opener. That's why I always say I know that I don't know because there's so much out there that I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When you have experiences like that and it's verified between Katie and I and one of the people living in the house, all independently hearing this, before we have this conversation. It just was crazy. But yeah, I've never heard
Yeah.
anything shriek like that ever.
It was awful. And then in understanding that she was a captive, like it just made it so much worse. But
Yeah, it did. It was very sad. Definitely not what we wanted to be working on, but we did release her, and
yeah,
both times we released both of them.
yeah, yep.
And
And then
it's
things got better.
yeah.
Things got better. I always wondered if maybe Mama died because she wasn't letting up. She just continued to do that. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I've seen with other clients that pay somebody like that, they rope you in. So, like for example, I had a client whose her son was engaged to a girl that was a heroin addict, and pretty soon he too was a heroin addict, and things were really bad. And she went to a witch doctor type of practitioner like that and asked him to do something so that her son and this girl would break up. And so, and he charged her like $250. 2 weeks later, he calls her on the phone and says, "I've just had a vision that your son's about to be killed in a car accident. You need to bring me $300 right now, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen."
Yeah. Oh,
And she was scared to death because she really was believing in that this person and the work they were doing. And her daughter-in-law was a client of mine. And so she connected her to me and we cleared up that energy between them and she blocked that person. And of course her son was not killed in a car accident. But
no.
at any rate, stuff like that happens. It's really gross, but it's
Mhm.
an ugly side of this kind of work,
It is. Yeah,
and one to be very aware of because it does happen. If a
definitely.
practitioner reaches out to you, that
There's
is
a
enough.
problem.
Mhm,
Yeah. It always should be you reaching out to them
mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, that's a little aside to what we're actually talking about. But it came up, so it came up. You never know. Maybe somebody really needed to hear that today. But
Right? It's important.
yeah. So anyway, that's our little combo about fairies. And if you're interested, I hope you guys do, fall a little further down the rabbit hole. It is a very fun study
It is
and
very
fun to get
interesting.
into. Yeah. And thank you all so much for all the birthday love. I appreciate you. I've had a wonderful day. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Yep.
Definitely.
Well, I'll be back tomorrow with a pop up. Christy will be back
Yes.
Saturday with another pop up.
Yep.
And then we'll be back Monday with brand new cases. So lots of good stuff. As always, like, subscribe if you haven't already. Go watch our stuff. Come have fun with us. And don't forget
Yeah.
Spirit School on Sunday and on Tuesday this next week.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. All righty, guys. Take care. This has been another production of True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters.
Bye, guys.